Hello everybody and welcome to yet another Hack the Dino nostalgia. There's so many happening lately. It's a crazy time of the year, but with new Star Wars coming out, I thought I'd turn to my best friend in Star Wars here. This is Todd.
Hello.
You'll remember Todd from Red Dead Redemption from last year when we talked about the original Red Dead before Red Dead 2, which is now, again, relevant because it just came out on PC.
Yeah, exactly. And there's some great footage coming out of it in
Oh
regards
my God,
to how much, if you have a
4K.
PC that can actually run it.
Yeah, I did see one video from a YouTube channel that I watched from Bitwit, where he was testing it against his $5,000 PC, and it actually managed to run it fairly okay.
Jeez.
So that's a nice bar to set that at.
That would be a dream if we could, but...
Yeah. $5,000 on PC, my God. But yeah, so Star Wars, Jedi Fallen Order comes out like this coming week, which is insane how quick this year is going now.
Ridiculous.
But there's a lot of old Star Wars games that we want to talk about a bit because some of them were amazing.
Oh, there were so many good ones. I mean, there was a lot of poor ones as well.
A lot of rough ones.
We'll probably give them a not so honourable mention later.
Yeah, there's a couple we're not even going to mention because they're not even worth it.
But there's so many lists in regards to what has been like the greatest Star Wars games of all time, and a lot of them vary as well.
Yeah,
like, especially depending on what console you grew up with. If
exactly
if you had a Nintendo 64 or if you were PlayStation or anything like that, they just varied exponentially. Which
is interesting for us as well because there's a few that like you'll find online in other people's videos where they absolutely love these ones on the 64. I didn't have a 64, so I missed those games.
I was the same as well, unfortunately, growing up. It was only, through friends that I knew that I got to play these games.
Yeah.
I never got to own them. Not until I was older and when you could get, I suppose, emulators.
Yeah, you can find those as well. And it's like, actually give it a go. And then you're like, damn, okay, now I see what these people are talking about. Yeah. That's ridiculously cool. But originally, the first Star Wars game ever that you played.
Oh, yeah.
So this is
early 90s. So
early 90s.
Showing my age a little bit. So my brother and I had a Sega Master System.
Hell yeah.
And yeah, so it was a tie-in game to Star Wars A New Hope.
Yeah.
And it was a side-scroller, top-down as well as a first-person shooter when you were in like the cockpit of either the Falcon or an X-Wing.
So it's got three completely different game mechanics.
Exactly right. I mean, the game would start and you'd be on Tatooine.
Yeah.
And you'd be playing as Luke and you'd start off in your speeder from a top-down menu.
Yeah.
And it would actually start in more of an open world sort of
you could
style.
sort of explore a bit.
You could. So you went to all these different caves and you'd get different weapon bonuses or life bonuses from these different caves. And eventually you had to actually get to the sandcrawler to get R2 and you gradually started collecting characters.
Yeah, you're basically filling out your team, which is kind of what the movie does.
Yeah.
When you think about it.
Exactly. And like, man, this game was hard.
Yeah.
As I would have only probably been about 4 or 5 years old playing it with my brother who would have been about 7 or 8 at the time.
Yeah.
And man, these games were hard. So you'd go and get R2 from the sandcrawler.
Yeah.
And then eventually you'd meet up. You'd have to just navigate and randomly find an Obi-Wan in a cave. And then you'd get the lightsaber.
Yeah.
Then you'd get to the cantina and you'd find Han.
Yeah.
One great aspect or great mechanic of this game is that you could switch characters once you'd unlocked them.
Nice.
Unfortunately, you couldn't play as Obi-Wan. You could only play as Luke, Han, or Leia.
Yeah.
But when you switch characters, the music theme actually changed
to
suit the character you were playing.
Yeah.
So,
and this is like Sega Master System, like MIDI files.
Oh, they were great.
Like chiptune style versions of the themes.
Of the classic Star Wars theme.
Excellent.
It was insane. But like, the only reason that I think that my brother and I just kept playing this game was for the first person segment.
Yeah.
So when you first get the Falcon and you turn up in the debris of Alderaan.
Yes.
And you're just navigating through the asteroid field. And it's literally just going up and down and left and right on the D-pad.
Yeah.
But
like as a control mechanism, it's nothing complicated.
Yeah. And as a kid, it was like, oh my God, I'm actually piloting the Falcon for the first time. And then, later in the game, you get to be in Luke's X-Wing.
Yeah.
And actually shooting down TIE fighters. And then you've got the trench run.
Yes.
And
you showed me the footage of this scene, and it's going to be on screen now. Maybe like a visual warning, because this is a lot for your eyes. Here it is. Yeah, exactly.
I think it perfectly explains why I need glasses.
Because playing
that as a 4-year-old, it probably just completely ruined my vision.
Yeah, you're just like staring at this, and it moves so fast.
It does, and oh man, like the only way that my brother and I could ever beat it was we had to work together. So he'd be the one controlling it, and I'd be the navigator. So I'd be treating it almost like a rally driver.
Yeah, like rally car racing.
So I'd be watching the top of the screen, and he'd be down the bottom, and I'd be shouting out like, "All right, left, right, no, left," and
gee. But it moves so fast, and like the hitbox is so tight on it, like you could barely scrape by.
And if I remember rightly, it's like I think it was one hit kill. If you like clip the wall or anything like that, or if a TIE fighter hit you, that was it.
Straight back,
and if you ran out of lives, it was the old days of game over. Cool. Start the whole thing again. You got to start
this whole thing again now. Yeah, man, that's craziness. In my first Star Wars game experience, looking at 95, I believe. Obviously, I wasn't born then, awkwardly, but it was for the original PlayStation, and it was a 2-disc. It was Star Wars Rebel Assault 2.
Oh, yep.
Now, if anyone hasn't seen this, it's half cover-based shooter, like you'd find in like an old arcade, where like you'd have to like step on the pedal to actually come out of cover. And then the other half was like in cockpit, first person, like flying and shooting. The weird thing about this game though was that it was completely live action. So all of the character models were like old school Mortal Kombat, where it's like actual live action, like going through different frames of their animations.
All the different sprites.
Yeah, exactly. All of them coming out, and it was just had this crazy visual to it, and then like a complete original story as well of like this rebel who is a pilot and fighting against the Empire, which is crazy. And then the actual cockpit flying as well, like as a kid, felt amazing.
We didn't know any better back then.
Exactly. So. Your entire sequences where you're like flying inside like a tunnel system in like a planet's cave, and like you're like barely avoiding everything, and like everything's coming along is awesome. And then to make it even better for the original storyline, they shot and filmed all of the cutscenes so that it's actually like a Star Wars movie. Which is ridiculous.
Can you imagine them doing something like that now?
Just no, not at all.
You know, just Mark Hamill, what are you up to?
Yeah.
Oh, you know, not much, just conventions and things like that.
We want you to come and film a scene for this video game, I should say.
He would do it, I reckon, too.
Oh, yeah.
He's that nice of a man. I reckon he would do it.
Man. But, that was not only my first Star Wars game, I'm pretty sure, at least in my memory, that's the first video game I can remember playing. I can remember playing. And then it was that and like a Vectrex or something, because my grandparents had that. But it was a crazy time. And obviously, like the Nintendo 64 kids, all of you out there who have shared your love of these games.
Oh, absolutely. Especially Shadows of the Empire.
Shadows of the Empire and Dark Forces, I believe are the two. Obviously, I've heard amazing things about them. I was going to say, you've got a little...
I've got the Outrider, yes.
Yeah,
this from model here is the Outrider from Shadows of the Empire. So that's Dash Rendar's ship.
It's the coolest name.
You know, it's especially in the Star Wars community, it's probably just as beloved as the Falcon is what I would say.
It's like the Falcon's got everyone, but then like the big Star Wars fans, like they know that. They want that. And then we sort of move into a funny time, at least in my perspective, because I was then of the age bracket where this game came out. Lego Star Wars.
Oh, yeah. Honorable mention. Those games.
God. Like, stupidly good. Yeah. Like, really funny.
You could play with a friend. You could play cooperatively. Like, it was just insane. And even, you know, you could switch characters, or as you played it more and more, you unlocked characters.
The sheer amount of characters, like, obviously with new Lego games, they like the latest like Lego Marvel games are stupid with how many characters they have. But back in the day, this felt like so many. Yeah. I remember like I mean, as a kid, I probably 100%ed this game, like getting all the minifigs and everything. But they just had such good humor to them, because the first one didn't have any voice acting. Yeah. So it was just sound effects and music, and all the gags were visual. So like when Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan jump down to save Amidala and everything.
Yeah, Padme and then Jar Jar's with him as well.
Qui-Gon goes down there and like is kicking butt. And then like at the end of the fight, Obi-Wan just falls down.
Yep.
It's like, as a kid, that's great.
That's right. There was like a recurring theme that Obi-Wan was like a
He's
bumbling
just, yeah, a bit of a
sidekick.
goofball. And then on Commando in the second movie in the game, you could go through an entire sequence where you'd like jump on different pads and then a disco would
Dance
start
party,
with like a disco theme of the Star Wars theme. Excellent. That's exactly what you need in a PS2 game.
And like you said, without the dialogue though, it still perfectly encapsulated what was happening.
Yeah.
And you still completely got the story, and it tied in really, really well to the films.
It made so much sense, and like it didn't lose anything with that.
No.
And now there was another one in here for you at this time as well.
Yes. Yeah.
This was
2001.
Nice.
So a game called Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds on PC. So this is just after the era of Age of Empires 2. It's even using the same game engine, if I remember rightly.
System, yeah.
Yep. There weren't many games that were produced on that engine, but Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds and Age of Empire both managed
to be in there.
but yeah, the best way I could describe it, it was just Age of Empires 2, but with Star Wars.
Yeah.
And it was awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, as a kid, I didn't care. It was more Star Wars.
Exactly right.
You could pick what factions that you played as, and each one had, specific boosts based off what they were. So you had like Rebel Alliance, Galactic Empire, Naboo.
Yes, because this was obviously around the time when we're getting the prequels out.
Exactly. You play as the Wookiees as well. And then eventually they brought out a expansion for it. And they added the clones and they added the Confederate Army as well.
That's excellent. Like, good on you guys for doing that. That you didn't have to, but you did.
Another great thing with this game is that your starting population was 200. Jesus. And then when they hit the expansion, I think they upped it to 250.
Jeez.
So it was so awesome just to have like hundreds of rebel riflemen or hundreds of Jedi or hundreds of droidekas and just watch it go nuts on your screen. And if you had a PC that could handle it, thankfully I did at the time. Another great thing that this game had was a scenario editor.
Yes.
So you could actually go in and create your own levels, create your own maps. But being, it was 2001, so I only would have been about 10, 11 at the time.
Bracket.
All I wanted to do was just do all-out battles of Jedi versus Sith. So I would just load up like a blank map, and then you could select like your environment. So you could
make
get, like,
a setting for it.
Exactly, so you could sort of wall them in. And I would just spawn hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of Jedi and Sith. You could even pick like the famous characters, so you could get
throw the big guys in.
Exactly, so you could get your heroes and villains in there as well and see how they would survive the fight, and then you'd hit generate. Now, if you had a PC like mine that wasn't the best but could run it, usually you'd have to leave it for maybe about half an hour.
Go and do
just
something
for this
else
to actually start up. So I remember I'd leave like the sound on. And I'd go get some food, make some lunch, something like that. And then
something
I'd hear
that takes half an hour.
And then I'd hear it kick off and be like, oh, sweet, it started.
Yes,
come running back. And sometimes it would lag as well. So it would play
man.
perfectly for maybe about 4 seconds. And you'd be so engaged with what's happening. And then you'd have to wait for it to like buffer.
It's like, all right, cool. Come on. Like, I just want to see who wins this fight.
It was so good. Such a good game. And then eventually that led into Empire at War as well, another real-time strategy.
I was
I
going
only
to say,
played bits and pieces of. So.
As someone who never played these, but now as like the age I am at now and what I play now, I actually quite like strategy games. I'm legitimately considering trying to find these games and play them because it sounds like such a fun time. And definitely something that I want to pick up at least. Jumping onto another one at least, because I know that Alex, if you're watching this, you want me to mention this more than anything in the world. The video game of Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, on the PS2 and the Xbox. Mainly just because if I didn't mention it, I think Alex would murder me in my sleep. This game was very weird. It's like half...
It was like half fighter, half adventure.
Half adventure locked, and then like with like the major fight scenes, it became like an actual fighting game, and then like other parts, it was all like exploration and like but like the camera was always slightly janky and like character models looked a bit off.
I remember the animation was really good though.
Yeah.
Because I think it came out at the same time, or right around the same time that Revenge of the Sith did.
Yes.
So the production company for the game was like closely involved with the film.
I was going to say, this was in a time in video games when every film had a video game.
Yeah, exactly right.
So like a lot of work was being put, or sometimes a lot of work was being put into these things.
And I think they even did some motion capture with Hayden Christensen as well.
It would not surprise me.
Especially when he does that crazy like flip behind the back when he's fighting Obi-Wan. Just insane. It's all coming back to me.
I was going to say, quick shout out to just like fight choreography in that film. That was amazing. And then we're sort of moving on to, we'll jump over to your next one here.
Yep.
Because it, again, all of these fit in like this same, like, we had heaps of Star Wars games for 10 years.
Just like an overload from LucasArts. Like you couldn't keep up with them.
They pumped them out constantly. And then EA happened. So let's keep talking about
we'll get to that later.
first. So these are the ones that you've got in here. They sort of lead into what then led on to what we've now had rebooted.
Yeah.
But before that, also quick shout out to Bounty Hunter with Django Fett. Because that was just a fun, silly game.
It's like, why not?
Yeah.
Why not? We can do it. We can make it.
But going into shooters, both third person and first person, we've got, I can never remember the name of it.
So the first person one we had was Republic Commando.
That's the one. Yes.
And oh man, this game. So I think it was about 2005 that it came out. I remember it came out just after Halo 2.
Jeez, no pressure.
Yeah, I know, no pressure whatsoever with like Halo 2 coming out in November 2004. But Republic Commando was like a first-person tactical-based shooter. So you play as Boss, as the leader of Delta Squad, and then you had your three teammates, which were, I think it was Scorch, Sev, and Fixer, and each one had different skills, and they actually had different voice acting rather than just the same clone acting. But even just the opening of this game, like if you could just see the intro. Yeah. So it starts off on Camino.
Yep, nice.
When you're a small baby.
Yep.
And you've actually been born or you've been cloned.
Oh my god.
And then it cuts ahead when you're a child and you're learning like battle tactics and stuff like that. Go a little bit further, you're now a fully grown clone. Yeah. And you're running simulations and actually doing and learning how to play the game and using cover and giving squad commands. That was the other such a cool thing with this game. So many other shooters or so many other games, it's so dependent on you as the character to, you open that door. Yeah. You do that before we can move forward.
I remember, just as a tangent to talk about what games were like then, I remember playing a bunch of the like Call of Duty's campaigns and things like that. Like, you've got your team with you. I mean, they're firing at something. They're not helping, but they're firing at something. So,
but this was like the one time where it really felt like you were a squad and you were a team, and they actually helped you. I mean,
you're like working together with these other characters that you're now invested in,
and it suited like different people's play styles. Like you could be a run and gunner and just have them for support, or you could be the commander and you can be like, take cover over there, you jump on that turret, we need to detonate that door over there, you go do that, I'll cover you. And even rather than just straight away dying when you took too much damage, you actually went down. Similar to like the Gears of War games that we know now. So you would call for a revive. Yeah. And if you were in a terrible position, you've just got your whole squad killed and then you have to start back at a checkpoint.
Which makes so much sense. Yep. Like that plays so well.
And even just the story, the voice acting, the banter between the squad and like the chemistry between them, the music. So it was a darker tone of music playing off the original Star Wars theme. So it had like a more militarized theme.
Because this was more like, you've got your like heroes and all of this stuff. This was straight up like warfare combat and you're having to like, your boots on the ground, you're in charge, you're in control. So having a darker theme makes so much sense.
It's fit it perfectly. And there was some horror elements in the game as well.
Like it gets darker
especially
than a lot of other Star Wars things.
Especially when fighting against like the Geonosians. So the game starts right on like the end of Attack of the Clones. And then it goes right up to Kashyyyk, if I remember right, for Revenge of the Sith.
Oh
and it even has General Grievous in the game.
Nice.
You don't fight him, but you fight his guards.
Yeah.
And he is terrifying when he bobs up in the game.
Yeah, because you're like, oh god, I'm gonna have to fight him.
Yeah, you're
and
terrified.
Then, thankfully, you don't, but you still have to fight his guards, who are also terrifying.
You even fight Trandoshans.
Yes.
So you fight droids, Trandoshans, Geonosians, all these level of enemies. But I think one of the mainstays, especially in the Star Wars community with this game, is the visor.
Yeah.
So when you would take damage, or even if you do like a melee attack,
Nice.
and this game had one of the coolest melee attacks. So you'd punch forward and a blade would come out of your fist.
Yes.
But when you'd melee, the oil or the blood would actually spatter, like spit onto your screen.
the helmet.
And then the visor would just wipe it off.
It has a little visor.
It was just awesome, this game. Like enough good things can't be said about this game.
Yeah.
It was so good.
I was gonna say, it's definitely the type of thing where like, it was one of those ones that I missed as a kid, and then in random discussion in the past through us talking about all these games, you mentioned it and we looked it up, and I was like, I have to find this game.
Yep.
This is absurdly cool.
I think you can get it on Steam now.
Yes,
I think
good.
you can.
Because everyone at home, go pick up this game.
You have to try it.
Dear God, please.
And there's a lot of us are still hopeful of a sequel because, not to spoil too much, but with the way that it ends, yes, there's been novels and things like that to tie into the event, but we'd always just want a true sequel. Like a true sequel would be amazing for that game.
A bit more.
Yeah, just a bit more.
And that whole like squadron leading part of it. Such a nice mechanic that you don't see in a lot of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now we go on to Battlefront. The Battlefront obviously blew up.
Oh.
And like compared to a lot of these other Star Wars games where like, sure, a lot of the Star Wars fans were people into it and everything like that. But like the second we got Battlefront and Battlefront 2, like
financially in terms of what those games like generated was just insane. Like past games were successful and well received, but this was the first time where it was like mainstream.
Yeah,
bang.
Like I had friends who weren't into Star Wars who picked up this game to play with other friends. Like,
absolutely.
So ridiculously cool. And like when you break it down, not a whole lot to it.
Not really.
But just well designed and great mechanics, and you don't need much else.
What it did well. Yeah. And it added so much to the replay value, because even though you would just be doing, I suppose, Galactic Conquest or instant action, the sort of stories that you would create in your own head while doing these battles.
Because you've got all of these characters that you're so used to, and like all of this, like this entire world that you've got, and like everything about it just added so much to it that even though like it really shows quantity over quality. Yeah. Quality over it really shows that, because you see things where they're trying to add so much and it kind of pulls away from the whole thing because something's lacking.
But I mean, on quantity, like, this was a game that was 2004, 2005 was when 1 and 2, the original Battlefronts came out.
Which is also bonkers that they came out like within the following year.
There are games that come out now that don't have the same level of depth as what those Battlefront games had.
Yeah.
I mean, you had the ground battles, you had vehicle combat, then you had space combat as well. I mean, even just the fact that in the space battles, you could choose what you do. Yeah. I mean, you could straight up just fly into the enemy hangar. Yeah. Steal one of their ships to mess with them, or you could go through the depths of the ship and destroy the auto turret system to help out the outside. Or you could just go straight into the generator and just destroy the ship from the inside.
It's like, if you can manage to get in there, good for you. You did it. You get to actually destroy that up.
Good on you. Whereas if you didn't want to do that, you could just stay in a Y-Wing or an X-Wing or whatever ship that you prefer. And you could just attack on the outside and destroy like the other, more weakest aspects of the Star Destroyers.
You could sort of manage their other stuff and like have other like dogfights with people. That's absurdly cool. Yeah. Like not to call it out already, but like the more recent Battlefronts, like sort of updating and like trying to expand on things, not really, but trying. Like it was such a weird time, because as a kid, like going back to these like original Battlefronts and everyone having it, and it just being just like the hottest thing out at the time, you understand why. Because it comes down to, that is a like, I'm going to bleep myself here, a fucking good game.
It was damn fun. And
Yeah.
you could just play it for hours on end with your friends or alone, you know, just by having bots in games, which I think is one of the most underutilized aspects in games to this day. Like, bots is always so good. If you don't feel like playing online, don't worry about it.
I really don't want to have to worry about having to be online. Also, another one of those things that like everyone likes to have, just the option of you can just be offline if you want. You don't have to be online.
You don't have to.
You don't need an internet connection.
And especially in Australia where we have terrible internet connections.
So like, yes, I might have an internet connection, so don't judge me there, but it's so slow that I can't do these things.
On that note, if I remember rightly, when Microsoft shut down Xbox Live,
Yes.
Star Wars Battlefront 2 was still the second most played game in regards to activity online.
Yeah.
It was between like Halo,
I was going to say it would be Halo.
has to be Halo, and Star Wars Battlefront 2.
That's crazy.
And like that says enough in itself in how good this game was. And you know, it took a while for Microsoft to shut down Xbox Live.
Yeah, I was going to say they're like, okay, we're trying to push it out as long as we can, and like still having such like a dedicated fan base there. That's so cool.
And even when we got to Star Wars Battlefront 2, the original, like it was nice that they even tried to implement a story into it. Like they told the story of the 501st as they went from the prequel era right up to being the Galactic Empire.
That's
It
ridiculous.
was again similar to Republic Commando. It was the first time that they really started to humanize the clones, and you really started to feel for these soldiers.
Yeah,
and
because like throughout the films and everything, it's like sure you meet a couple, and like there are some who stand out as like commanders and things like that.
Cody,
Commander Cody and everything. But like this sort of stuff made you actually go, oh, this isn't just a CGI army. Yeah. It's like, these are meant to be people.
And even I think there's a part where they even reference like how they felt about Order 66.
Yeah.
And how I think one of them has a line where it's like, "Oh, it's a good thing we were wearing helmets because I didn't want them to see how upset we were with what we had to do."
It's like they're just following orders because they're trained troopers.
Yep.
Like they're doing what they've been born to do or created to do at least, and the story behind that is incredible. And like we've seen more of that now in like, this is becoming a huge tangent about Star Wars now.
It's
okay. I'm not surprised. Like we've seen heaps more of that now in Clone Wars, in Rebels.
In Rebels as well.
And we're seeing more of that in more of their like spin-offy style stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm loving it.
And it just adds more depth to characters and storylines and planets and all this sort of thing. It just helps flesh it out and makes it feel more lived in, which is what we want.
Yeah, like, yes, we have our core Star Wars storyline in the Skywalker saga, but these side stories and these, like, exploring the rest of this world that's been created, that's what we want.
Oh, a little, I just remembered actually. When the originals came out on DVD in regards to a box set for the first time, so that would have been right on 2003, 2004 or something like that. That box set actually included a demo for the first Battlefront game. So I can remember being a kid and like rewatching all the Star Wars films with my dad, and then we finished watching Return of the Jedi, and there was a bonus disc.
Oh my god!
And it was so like, put in your Xbox.
Yeah, it's like you can actually go and play something.
So you'd put it in your Xbox, and straight away it would load you up on Endor.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I ever played Battlefront. It was before the game was even released.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's just like a bit of like we're getting news out there that this is coming.
Yeah.
And that would have helped it so much because everyone would have been picking up the trilogy set.
Exactly. And even being able to switch from first person to third person depending on your playstyle. I mean, personally, third person is how I think Battlefront should be played.
Yeah.
But, you know, some people liked first person.
I was going to say, at the time, like with first person really now starting to, I mean, like first person had always been in the background being like a huge genre, but like it was really starting to like, it was becoming, when you say video game, people started to think, oh, it must be a first-person shooter. Yeah. Oh, it's got guns. Oh, it must be this and that. Like, it was at that exact time. So having that at that point was, another thing that probably helped it be so big.
And even just introducing being able to play as heroes or villains, like being able to play as General Grievous or, you know, General Kenobi or Vader. And I remember a lot of the time growing up playing with friends, it was just loading up Mos Eisley. And it was just heroes versus villains.
Yeah,
and it was
like
just,
we've got all the big guns.
It was just insane. It was just an absolute mess of carnage. But
it's just like,
oh damn, it was fun.
My console doesn't even want to run this now, but we're just trying our best.
Yeah. And to think that was 2005, and yet we still can't hit something to emulate that same replayability. Because
Yeah.
even, I mentioned before, you had the different game styles, and you had Galactic Conquest, which it was almost a little bit more like a board game. It was like playing Risk, and you'd get power-ups and boosts, and certain planets were harder to attack than others based off of like what you'd done so far. It was like a fight over the galaxy, and it was just so good, and all these things just added more and more to replayability.
Yeah, and as far as I'm aware, we haven't really seen that again, which is a shame.
Yeah.
Quickly as well, another one before we get into the whole EA thing. I think this is before EA still? I can't remember. Force Unleashed
Before the
1
dark
and 2.
times.
Before the dark
Before
times.
the Empire.
Force Unleashed 1 and 2. I was at the perfect age bracket to play this because it was just, you do not care about anything.
Yep.
He's an angsty, basically a teen, who's just like, I'm this secret apprentice of Vader.
Rules are out the window.
Yeah.
Let's just go nuts with
Be
it.
completely bonkers with it. And like the whole entire shtick of the entire thing was like, you're hunting down some of the Jedi who have still survived Order 66.
Like the remnants. Yeah.
You're going and hunting them down because you're just crazy. And like, you're like dual wielding blue lightsabers and like
Electrocuting Jawas.
yes,
I think that was one of my most favorite things to do.
Electrocuting Jawas is like a huge game mechanic for some reason.
Yep.
And yeah, just the ridiculous fun you'd have with just like the ragdoll physics and everything. And weirdly, like at the time, like I remember these games fondly because I actually quite enjoyed the story of these.
Yeah, they had a pretty good story that tied in fairly well with the original.
They tied in excellently. And like all of the little cameos that they'd have from little things or like references to other stuff.
Yeah, like Bail Organa would show up. I think Leia would show up
They
as well.
all fit so well.
Yeah.
And like I actually became invested in like Starkiller as a character. And which is weird because then it was just like, cool, he's kind of like a clone. And then we kind of brace everything off that. And it gets a bit, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's a bonkers game. But
even just like the cinematic aspects in the gameplay, like fighting an ATST for the first time.
Yeah,
or fighting a Rancor monster.
Large-scale fights were dope.
Bringing down a Star Destroyer.
Yeah,
that was insane.
That was the funniest thing.
Man.
Oh my god. And that's like the opening of the second game, I think. Like, just ridiculous.
Yeah, they knew what they had and they just rolled with it. It was like, laws go out the window.
Yeah,
Don't worry about moving rocks. We're going to destroy a Star Destroyer. We're going to bring it from orbit
We're
down.
going to like control it down in absolutely stupid. Which made it heaps of fun.
It did.
And then, speaking of heaps of fun, I believe we're on to everyone's favourite segment of running through all the Star Wars games, which is, I believe, when we got to sort of EA around that time.
Yeah.
I like how we were going through all of these different games that came out in like a 15-year time period, 10-year time period, like 5-year time period. You look between like 2002 to 2007, all of those games that came out, and then you look at
what's happened since.
What's like, so like even just like the past 10 years, like 2010 to 2019, around there, we didn't get a lot.
No.
We got some phone games.
Yay.
Woo.
But even, I suppose, like we had BioWare with the MMO RPG variation of Knights of the Old Republic.
This I was almost about to completely skip over. Oh my god, thank you so much.
No, we can't do a Star Wars segment without talking about Knights of the
please,
Republic.
please do.
In my opinion, and a lot of other Star Wars community opinion, one of the most beloved games of all time. Not just a Star Wars game, but just a game of all time.
I was going to say, people like love this so much. Like this has definitely the same like love and passion for it as like the original Battlefront.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
More,
and
crazy.
For good reason. It was a quality game. I mean, it was July 2003 that this game came out.
Yeah.
And
you remember this perfectly.
I remember it perfectly because my birthday is in late July.
Yeah.
And my nan got me this for my birthday present. I had no idea I was getting it. I had no idea I even wanted it back then.
Because hadn't even asked for it, hadn't even really seen it.
And so unwrapping my presents, and there is this amazing cover.
Yeah. Yeah. Hands down, you look at this cover and like the art of this game, you're sold instantly. And
I was just in and invested straight away because I mean, the game itself, it's set 4,000 years prior to the events of like the rise of the Galactic Empire, essentially. And you play as what you think is a relatively unknown innocent character. You had 3 character classes that you could pick from.
Nice.
So you could be soldier, scout, and scoundrel, if I remember rightly. I mean, back then, because I was a bit younger, I always just went soldier.
Yeah.
As I've gone back and replayed the game since, I probably try to replay it almost every couple of years.
And you've gone and tried through a bunch of the others.
And just all the classes, all the different variations.
Yeah.
But like this game, just in terms of a story aspect of what it told, the music as well, because it was actually like an original theme. So,
because you're like, with each trilogy that we had, they twisted it and did their own thing with it, like expanding upon the original. So if we're going to so much beforehand, you want an original score there as well.
And like the musical score helped make this game what it is. I mean, it still had touches of like the John Williams theme, but with twists to it, and it just made it so much better. And not only that, but the voice acting.
Yeah.
The voice acting in this game was just incredible. Like, I think it was one of the first times playing a game where I actually cared about the characters.
Yeah.
You actually get really invested
You're super connected to them
with your team.
I was going to say, because this was a RPG.
RPG.
Yes.
RPG.
Which was also buck wild to
It
suddenly
was
twist
different
that
at
on
the
people.
time, and like growing up, I hadn't really played too many RPGs. It was probably one of the first ones that I played, and I remember initially playing it and being like, "What is this?"
It's like, wait, I'm not just running around fighting everything.
Yeah.
What am I?
Like,
What?
I'm not the one shooting. I'm not the one doing the melee
It's
attacks.
like I'm actually having like conversations with people.
Yeah.
What?
But as you get your head around it, it's so in depth and so good.
Yeah.
And
The amount of lore in this game alone is absolutely buck wild.
Yeah. And like the characters are still beloved to this day.
Yeah.
Like with both Knights of the Republic and Knights of the Republic 2, but like honorable mentions, like you've got Cartho Nassi, who's like essentially your first proper squad mate. And this is a guy that is a commander of the Republic, essentially, after they've been attacked by the Sith Lord Darth Malak.
Yeah. Who like even like general Star Wars fans have probably seen like what this guy looks like because he's beloved.
Yeah, just with the mouthpiece and the bald and just the huge character that he is. But Karth, like you immediately feel for him because he's telling you how he lost like his wife and his son like throughout the Mandalorian wars and throughout other wars as well, and how much it affects him. And you 100% believe him.
Yeah.
Because of the voice acting. Because it's just so well done.
It's
so
actually well
written.
performed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And even as the story goes on and you're introduced to new characters like Bastila, who ends up potentially becoming your love interest if you played as either male or a female.
Yeah.
I think in canon terms, in regards to Knights of the Republic, it's playing as a male first, and then in the second one, when you're the exile, you're a female.
Okay.
But Bastila as a character as well. And there's all these great little foreshadowing and hints in regards to who you are, because you're just a blank slate. You
I was going to say,
the story.
they do just sort of jump you in, hey?
Yeah, and your character starts to experience visions.
Okay.
And Bastila, who is a Jedi Sentinel, senses that you have the Force.
Nice.
And she doesn't quite understand. She's like, wait, how could you be this age and the Jedi Academy not have trained you, not have picked you up?
That's cool.
And that leads so well into one of the greatest video game twists of all time.
Okay.
I got to give you a little bit of background.
Yeah.
So, spoilers for anyone that
spoilers
has not.
for... I know I'm not really going to get the time to jump back and actually go through and play it, so I'm all right with this. But if you're not all right with this, jump ahead a little bit.
Yeah. So eventually you get to Dantooine.
Yeah.
And you learn to become a Jedi, and you learn the ways of the Jedi. So you get sent on a mission to retrace the steps of Darth Malak and his former Sith master, Darth Revan.
Okay. Yeah.
So you're given a mission by the Jedi Council to seek out these things called star maps.
Nice.
Which essentially reveal the location of this huge technological baffle that is referred to as the Star Forge.
Nice.
Which is what helped get the Sith their power.
Okay.
It essentially produces ships for them.
Yeah.
So the twist, about halfway through the game, is that who you are playing as, you are actually Darth Revan.
Fuck.
So
that's so
in
good.
the early part of the game, you were on a ship and there was a Jedi strike force there to get you. And Bastila was part of that strike force. And Darth Malik, seeing that it was his opportunity to then rise up as the new Sith Lord, bombards your ship.
Oh my god.
And it turns out that Bastila actually saves your life.
Yeah.
She heals you and then brings you to the Jedi Council. They then alter your memories. So they get rid of all parts of you that are Revan, but they can't get rid of the Force-sensitive part. But they keep the important bits in regards to the star map and the star forge and things like that.
You've got the key elements that they need.
Exactly.
Oh, man.
And then it's revealed that you actually share a force bond with Bastila. That's why you both see the same visions throughout the game. And, oh man, that twist at the time blew my mind.
That's blown my mind. It's 2019, and I know that people love Revan.
Yep.
And now I understand why.
Yeah, it's insane. And like that's why he is such a beloved character, because of that story.
That's bonkers.
And even what this game offered in regards to exploration of environments. I mean, once you're sent from Dantooine onto your mission to find the star maps, you have your choice of 4 planets that you can go to in any order. I mean, I suppose a lot of the common order that people did in terms of what was easier for you as a character based off of your levels was Tatooine first, and then it was Kashyyyk, and then Manaan, and then Korriban, the Sith occupied planet.
That's so
and
good.
what helped making go to Korriban last even better is because it's after I think you've done 2 or 3 of the planets, then it's revealed that you're Revan.
Nice.
So depending on whether or not you were playing as light side or dark side, because again we had the choice mechanic. You could go to Korriban, and you could just be like, I'm Darth Revan.
Yeah.
And you could just straight up mess with people, and they'd like laugh at you, laugh in your face, and you'd be like, I actually am Darth Revan.
It's like, no, I actually am.
Yep.
That's amazing. That's so good.
But even as you went from planet to planet, more and more characters were introduced to your party.
Yeah.
One of the, again, most beloved side characters is a assassin droid named HK-47.
Oh my god.
He is pretty much Star Wars Rogue One's K2 SO, but before.
That's so good.
And a more brutal version.
Yeah, it's a bit more hardcore.
Yeah, and he would talk in such humorous ways. So he would always say things like statement, and then he'd say a sentence, or he'd be like query, or he'd be like insult. And he had this great knack for calling either yourself or other people meat bags.
Oh my god.
And he would just straight up threaten people and be like, and HK-47 was actually revealed to be Revan's former...
Nice.
Yeah, Revan was HK's former master. So even when you first meet him, he's calling you master, and he...
Yeah, he's calling you that from the get-go.
Yep.
Because he knows what's going on, but he doesn't comprehend that he needs to... That's so good.
We had a Wookiee side characters. We had Zolbar, who owes you a life debt after you save him in the sewers of Taris. And when you go to Kashyyyk, it's actually revealed that he essentially fled Kashyyyk because he was deemed or dubbed a Mad Claw because he actually attacked his brother, if I remember rightly, because his brother was dealing with, you know, the Sith, and he was essentially like helping enslave Wookiees. And it's such a good storyline. Each side character had such a good storyline. I mean, Karth had, you know, his wife and son that he'd lost, but then it's actually revealed his son's actually alive when you get to Korriban if you build up enough chemistry with him.
Nice.
And he's actually training to be a Sith. So depending on what you align to, being light or dark side, you could save his son, or you could just be like, keep going with the Sith.
I gotta say, like, good on BioWare and the developers and the story writers there for having the guts to do all of this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, when you're dealing with such a beloved franchise and you're trying to expand on the lore that way, when you're coming up with original content for that, the pressure on you would be phenomenal.
Like, you could make a whole video just dedicated to Star Wars Knights of the Republic.
Yeah.
There is that much content in it, and I'm sure I'm probably going to miss something, and I
Doing,
really
like,
apologize if I do, because
Lore
there's
deep
so
dives.
much.
I'm sure there's, like, someone online who's done, like, an hour 50 long, like, deep analysis into it, and, like, but it's probably worth a watch.
They were one of the first games as well to introduce the concept of a grey Jedi.
Yes.
Well. So when you get to Kashyyyk, on the lower levels, which is looked at as like the, you know, shady side of where monsters and horrible things live, almost similar to Dagobah.
Yeah.
There's a character introduced called Jolie Bindo, who's a former Jedi Master.
Yeah.
Who's just gone there to live out his days as an old hermit, and he's a great Jedi. And it's insane. And his whole argument in regards to, light versus dark and all that sort of thing,
like
and balance.
trying to find a balance. Like,
It's just insane. Oh, and especially as we're getting closer to the release of The Mandalorian,
Yes.
there is a fantastic Mandalorian character named Canderous Ordo.
Ordo, I think I've heard the name before.
So he's working as essentially like a bounty hunter now.
Yeah.
But through, circumstance and series of events, he ends up aligning himself with you.
Nice.
Because he's a warrior and he sees glory within you.
He's like, I want to be a part of this.
Yeah. And he previously fought in the Mandalorian Wars, which
Nice.
is what actually turned Malak and Revan to the dark side, because the Jedi Council didn't want to intervene with the wars.
Right.
They wanted to remain peaceful and to the side. So both Revan and Malak as Jedi broke away and fought for the people, fought for the safety.
That's cool.
So Canderous and Revan actually fought one another on the battlefield in the Mandalorian Wars. And in your ship that you get, the Ebon Hawk, which is, again, so beloved, just as much as like the Falcon and the Outrider that Dash Rendar had. You could just go up to these characters while you're in the Ebon Hawk and talk to them. Yeah. And just have minutes worth of dialogue.
They had so much written for conversation, for even more background lore and everything.
And Canderous would just tell you war stories. There's one story in particular where he tells you about like dropping down from like mid-orbit or something while riding a droid into battle. It is insane.
That's so good.
Every character was so well fleshed out. Every planet felt so good and so unique. And even going to places like Tatooine and Kashyyyk, which we'd always heard of and we'd seen it throughout the films, being able to walk around these places, it's just helped flesh it out so much more.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Enough good things cannot be said about this game.
Yeah. I was going to say, and that's number one.
Yeah, and then they did
There's a whole second one to be explored.
Which I won't get too much into.
I was going to say, we could stick to that, but that's incredible that we got that. Yeah. And then we completely dropped the ball.
Yeah, and now we are where we are.
Yeah, and now it's like, okay, we've had 2 more Battlefronts, in a sense.
That both didn't reach anywhere near the bark.
Of the originals.
Yeah.
The first one was obviously all multiplayer, and everyone was like, we want a single player Star Wars story. And then with that, they added one to the second one, and then you had to update the game to get
the
more of
expansion
it.
to it. Yeah.
It was a whole deal. And then obviously the issues that everyone knows about with the EA's microtransactions in 1 and 2.
I think it's almost common knowledge now in regards to microtransactions.
It was such a huge deal in video games. And then the fact that it was so big that like Disney, like now having owned all of Star Wars and everything, were like, hey, what the hell were you guys doing? What's going on?
It's just such a shame, because one thing those games had for them is they looked great.
Yeah.
They looked great and they sounded great.
Stunning.
And everything like that. But at the core of it, if the game's not fun, then people aren't going to play it.
Yeah.
They're going to come away from it.
It was a real shame because and it's the type of thing where like as a Star Wars fan, I bought them because I really wanted a good Star Wars game. And you're going through it and you're like, you try and make it as much fun as you can. But when it comes down to it, you're still just not having the best time.
Exactly. And even just how they balance things out and just being able to play as a hero in those games.
Yes.
It just never felt right. Like it didn't really reward you for playing well. I mean, eventually they tried to bring that in with Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Yes.
But it still just didn't feel right.
Yeah.
It never quite got the balance right.
Yeah. There's never the sort of that good power struggle where it's like, okay, cool. Yes, that's a massive villain, and yes, I could take them down, but it never felt quite right.
No.
It was always a bit weird. Speaking of a bit weird, the amount of cancelled Star Wars games that we were we know about, and like I can't imagine how many like almost got off the ground
that we never even heard about. Yeah, exactly.
Like that got cut on like early.
I mean, we had Star Wars 13, the Bounty Hunter one,
which was going to be all bounty hunters, and like we saw concept art for it and everything. Did we see footage of it?
I think we saw a demo. I think there was an E3
I was going to say, I'll bring up footage of it now if there is. Oh man, like that feels like so long ago now.
It does. It feels like an age ago.
Yeah, and and that was like, it looked, oh, man, it could have been so good.
And even we had that other one where it had the writer from Uncharted.
Yes.
Was it Amy?
So Amy Hennig,
Yep.
she was then brought on with Visceral.
Yep.
This was when at a Star Wars, at a Disney event, I think it was.
Was it like Star Wars Celebration?
Star Wars
or something
Celebration
like that? Yeah.
or Disney Expo or something like that, when they showed off, hey, we're putting a lot of work into all of our Star Wars games and things like that. And they showed off some of their like VR stuff and their like AR stuff as well. And then they were like, also, Visceral are working on this sort of a thing. And they showed off this demo footage that's playing now.
And it was like a Sith occupied
Oh my
planet, and it looked amazing.
Oh.
And I remember you and I, when we worked together,
Working together
when
at
that
the
came
time.
up, and you and I were so excited.
Yeah,
we
it
were
was
like, yep,
the
in.
biggest deal because we both love the Naughty Dog, like Uncharted games and everything.
Yeah.
Like, this was literally merging two favorite things together, and it looked incredible. And that was like early footage, like, and in hindsight, I wish they didn't show us.
I know.
Because
Just
it
having that taste
broke
cuts you
our
deep.
hearts when it was announced that got cancelled. Like,
man.
that, and like reading a bit up about it now, like it does make a bit of sense as to why it got cancelled. There were a lot of issues behind closed doors there and everything in development. But man, like, but like, what is happening?
But hopefully,
Hopefully,
on a more positive note, talking about Uncharted as well.
yes,
Star Wars, Jedi Fallen Order.
yeah. I gotta say, everyone when this was announced we were all in our hesitation boat.
I still am.
Well,
I still
yes,
am.
a lot of us still are. A majority of the community
Just
still
by,
is.
if you guys look at the title and just those two letters that are underneath it, and it says E and A, I'm still apprehensive. I'm still tentative. I think Vader said it best, where it was just like, you would be unwise to lower your defenses, and that's very much what I'm like at the moment.
Yeah, it's like, all right, well, I'm still over here. I'm waiting.
Just sitting back.
I'm waiting till we get final confirmation. Because this has been a wild ride leading up to Jedi Fallen Order properly. The initial announce was like, huh.
So okay, you had
what,
me intrigued.
What are you guys doing here? And then obviously they instantly get questioned about it by all of games journalists everywhere, being like, all right, what's the deal
What
with
is
this?
this?
What is this? Is this multiplayer? Is this single player? Is there microtransactions? Are you going to have microtransactions? And they're like, all right, we're still figuring things out. This is early development. More recently, they've come out and they've been like, at launch, there are no microtransactions. And we're still like, are there microtransactions at all?
Yeah, still don't 100% believe it, but then
Not
the wave
entirely
of relief
sure.
that came over Star Wars fans and just gaming fans in general.
Of like, the one thing they have really committed to is this is a single player story-based Star Wars game.
Yes.
Which we haven't had in so long.
Exactly right. Since like the before mentioned ones of the likes of, Republic Commando and Star Wars Knights of the
And
Republic.
like Force Unleashed. And, like,
Exactly.
the fact that that's how long it's been is bonkers. And like the look of it, I was kind of sold on to begin with, because I was like, all right, you're kind of pulling me in a bit here. I do like this time period that it's set in. It's a good time for it.
Yeah, it's 5 years after Revenge of the Sith, I think.
So it's sort of leading to that point where like it's late enough from it that we've got stormtroopers in it.
Yes.
But like, I mean, it's all a bit of a messy grey area in there.
It really is. It's hard to know like what's considered canon and what's not now.
They have a bit of fun where it's like, all right, cool. No, it's totally fine that this is here now.
But Saul Guerrera's in there.
Saul
Isn't it?
Guerrera.
Forrest Whitaker is actually
Forrest
in
Whitaker in there. I can't, like, I'm really hoping we get some nice, cool cameos in there. Not ham-fisted cameos, though.
I 100% agree. I was going to bring that up to you. I really don't want to see too much like shoehorned fan service in. Like, I don't want to see like an Obi-Wan reference too much.
Yeah,
or
I don't
like past Jedi.
Yeah.
If Vader's in there, I understand.
Yeah, it's like, that makes a lot of sense because he's literally hunting down all of the Jedi who are still alive, and he's trying to fight the rebels. Yeah. So it's like, that makes a lot of sense for a Vader to appear.
But haven't they revealed that one of the major like enemies in regards to the game is the Seven Sisters?
Yes. So it's the sisters. The name escapes me entirely because I haven't watched Rebels in ages.
No, it's okay.
Because they are used as the villains in Rebels because it's a similar time period.
Oh, like the Night Sisters?
Yes, Night Sisters. That's it. And they also revealed in a recent trailer for Jedi Fallen Order another one of the sisters who's like a
huge brute, isn't it?
Yeah, massive brute. But she also has like telepathic powers, like with her force, and like so not only is she huge, but she's also like a mental enemy as well.
Oh yeah. So it's like Psycho Mantis.
Yes,
Psycho Mantis in a Star Wars universe.
Yeah, if Psycho Mantis was buff, if Psycho Mantis got really buff, like hit the gym every day, and then like also read books. But yeah, like they're doing a lot of things that have me really interested.
Exactly. Even like talking about the Uncharted before, having the scaling and climb mechanics. And even I've seen footage of there's actual like puzzle segments.
Yes.
That excites me probably the most, even more so than like the gameplay and the fighting.
I was going to say, alright, so yeah, this most recent preview event that a bunch of game journalists got invited to, it really came out with some really interesting insights into how this game is actually going to play out for everyone else playing it. Because we haven't really had a great understanding of that. They did show a demo, but it mainly just focused on exploring one little bit and also teasing that like Saw Gerrera is there. And a little fight with one of the sisters. That was exciting and all, but what we've gotten from this latest preview, a lot of people are saying the combat doesn't feel hack and slashy like Force Unleashed or anything like that.
You actually have to defend. You have to time your attacks.
It feels like how the Jedi fight, where it's like they're not just going ham all the time.
They're waiting.
Like
patience.
If you're there with multiple enemies, like they can overrun you so quickly, and then you're just screwed. But if you take your time to like defend yourself properly, and like a lot of people comparing it even to like feeling almost Souls-like, where like you're having to like dodge and like block properly and everything like that. As a mechanic working a lot better has me really interested.
I was going to say, like, it looks like a mixture of Uncharted with touches of Force Unleashed, with like Dark Souls and maybe even a touch of God of War.
Yeah, some of the new God of War as well. It's very interesting. So that in terms of combat, the puzzles, like I said before, on some of the exploration, a lot of people comparing it to some of the like old school Zeldas.
Oh, great!
Where it's like how you'd go into like a dungeon and you would like explore the dungeon and solve puzzles in there.
Those were some of the best moments of games, even with the Uncharted ones.
Yeah,
like the quiet moments. Sometimes it was good to get away from the fighting and the carnage, and it was good just to take your time. Explore an environment and work a puzzle or
and like you're almost like taking in the beauty of it at the same time. Like, these worlds are gorgeous. So that's going to be a big element of it with like old Jedi temples and things like that. So that's really exciting to see them exploring that. And then the other thing as well was... Oh God, I've lost it now.
Well, I think there's still moments in it where you can go off like the beaten path sort of thing. It's not just like a linear path. It's like you get from A to B. You can actually go different routes.
It's like I've heard people describe it in some other games recently where it feels wide linear. Where it's like it's not just a straight line where you're going down hallways. You can get there in your own way.
I think I've seen either footage or a screenshot of just like a mini map. And it's like, there's your waypoint. You can actually pick which way to go. And that's what I want to sort of see and hear because, I love open world games, especially like Red Dead Redemption and things like that. But at the same aspect, there's so much to do. And
it can be overwhelming.
And I think even Dan's mentioned it on the show before. It's nice to be reined in a little bit.
It's nice to have just a couple options rather than anything.
And that's what, jumping back just briefly to KOTOR, that did really well. If you really wanted to, you could just go straight story missions.
Yeah.
But it had enough side missions, but not too many.
Yeah.
It was like the perfect balance.
It didn't feel like it was padding it out.
Exactly.
Yeah. Everything in perfect balance.
Yep.
That's what you want. And one of the other things on exploration and having that wide linear feel, from this preview event, all of these games journalists, what they were told as they were starting it was, one, they were shown, the developers of the game actually showed a later on in the game, fight with one of the sisters.
Oh yeah.
To really show what the combat looks like once you've been playing the game for a while.
And when you're a bit more powerful.
And you've got some extra abilities and you have an understanding of how this game works now. They said it looked incredible.
Yeah.
This fighting, once you've got it down pat, this is going to be so good. Fingers crossed.
I hope so.
And
everything's crossed.
Everything crossed. And then also in the sense of when they sat down to let these journalists play it and give it a go, they were like, all right, cool. You've got multiple planets you can go to. You can just straight up, if you want to, I think the one that they were saying was more difficult for where they were starting them at was Dathomir. And some of them were like, well, I'm not going to go to the hard one because I want to have a decent experience. But they turned around and saw other people playing that level and they were getting their butts kicked.
And it's I'm glad I didn't go there.
Yeah. But it made them interested to go, I can't wait to get to there and see what all of that's about. And yeah, having side sort of extra little secret areas and everything, it's got so much potential.
I think I heard something as well that there'll be certain levels that you actually be able to come back to when you've unlocked certain force abilities.
Yes.
So when you first go through them, you might see something and you'll be like, oh,
Yeah.
that looks like a hidden passage or a little Easter egg up there,
Yeah.
but I can't quite get to it because I don't have the ability to get there.
Even in the sense of you could be looking at a wall and there might be a mural on it or something.
Yeah.
Early in the game and you're like, wow, that's beautiful. And then you move on. And then later in the game, it's revealed that sort of a mural is actually able to be utilized as a hidden doorway. And you're like, I can go back there and explore an entire extra area.
And if that's the case, if they've done that, then that's fantastic because that adds more and more to replayability.
Yes.
Rather than just playing a game start to finish and being like, yeah, I'm done with that.
You go through the story, done.
Exactly.
It's I love being able to explore worlds. And when you add little extra story elements as well, your little droid, who I can't remember the name of at all. I know that the dude's name's Cal.
Cal, yeah.
And it's played by Cameron Montague or whatever it is.
Really? Is that him?
Yeah.
From Shameless?
He's all the Jokers in Gotham.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Good on him.
Which is absolutely crazy. But he's apparently had good fun with it. And he's been trying really hard in interviews not to spoil anything.
Oh yeah, it'd be hard.
Oh man, actors have it so hard nowadays.
Yeah.
But yeah, his little droid on his backpack and everything, when you're going through an area, he'll jump off and go and scan something.
And he'll splice into things and hack terminals and stuff.
So I love that being okay, cool. You can get all this extra story if you want, or if you're someone who's not too fussed with that, he'll still scan it and then he'll just catch up with you.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. You control how you play, which is what we always want.
Yeah.
We want to be able to go, I'm going to go over there. I know the main story mission's back there, but that looks interesting.
I want to go see if something's over there. And there might be some currency or some sort of little XP or something. As little or as big as it might be, I still want that choice to go over there.
Exactly.
And one last thing I will mention was that they also apparently showed off and teased a bit of you won't just be stuck in the same clothes the whole time.
Oh, good. I was going to ask
you will get gear. So one of the things that got me absurdly excited because I'm so excited for this series to come out. There was apparently a poncho that one of them found that very much had a Mandalorian feel to it.
Excellent.
And I was just I'm going to play the whole game in that sort of style.
Have they revealed yet if there's variations in regards to your lightsaber and what you can do with it?
Yes.
If you can change up the kyber crystals?
So I'm not sure if they've announced changing up kyber crystals and stuff and changing color and things like that. But lightsaber customization and upgrading is going to be a huge part of it.
Good.
Because he is still so early in his sort of story.
He's just a Padawan that happened to survive.
And
the
then
purge.
we don't know the exact story so far going in, but I'm interested to see what that's about. But yeah, he's in the case of he's still learning, so he's going to be apparently upgrading his lightsaber quite a bit, And that sort of customization there should be exciting.
And that works well because us being sort of early players to it, tying in with a Padawan, as he discovers things, you as a player discover it as well.
Yeah, it works well because you're not going, oh, well, why didn't he just know that to begin with?
Yeah, exactly.
It's the type of thing where like old school video games where you have like just a generic skill tree and you go through and you fill it out and you earn enough XP or something, or you gain a level and you can buy, oh, cool, now I know how to force choke people or something.
Yeah.
It's like, you knew how to do that the whole time, story-wise. Yeah. You just weren't doing it.
It'll be interesting as well if you can actually use dark side powers. I think they've very much stated that Cal is a good character.
Yeah.
He is a Jedi. But if they'll give you the option to potentially use darker powers.
Yeah,
I mean, even in Return of the Jedi, Luke used Force Choke on
exactly,
the guard. So, you know, where do they draw the line?
It'll be interesting to see, especially in regards to like they've shown like, cool, you're going to be exploring these temples and things like that. Will there be Sith temples? Will we be able to explore that sort of thing?
Oh.
Like,
will there be Sith ghosts as happened in previous games, like in KOTOR? Like there's ancient Sith ghosts that like impede your progress and really test you.
There's a lot of potential here, and I'm very interested to. I mean, literally in a week or so's time.
Yeah.
At least be able to see reviews and get at least get a bit of a general idea and a consensus,
and make a judgment call from there.
Yeah, and at least see, without delving into spoilers or anything, what to expect. Like really expect. Yeah. But yeah, it's an interesting time.
I hope so, because with the Mandalorian coming, with Rise of Skywalker about to supposedly end the saga, it's time now that we got some good Star Wars games that pushed us into the future. Yeah, like when we talked earlier, from 2000 to 2006, the quality games that we had,
and just they were pumping them out. Which obviously, if they're going to take their time to actually properly develop these things now, like we're now seeing with. Also, another Disney property, the Marvel games that they've been working on, like they are putting a lot of time and effort into these things to not just pump crap out.
Exactly.
It's a really interesting time.
And who knows, in the next 5 years, maybe we can start hitting that quality that LucasArts was producing at the time. Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of garbage as well.
Oh yeah, there's heaps of trash in there.
But there was always hidden gems in there as well. Someone could always find something in those games that they loved.
Yeah. Oh yeah, even the bad ones were fun. Yeah. Like when it comes down to, or some of them. We won't dwell on that. Yeah. But it's such an interesting time and so much potential in the air. Yeah. And it's all just like this last
it's just simmering.
this last like month and a half of 2019 is like, I don't know. Like,
it's almost going to be Star Wars months.
Yeah.
Mandalorian.
Almost.
Movie.
Oh man, I'm so excited for Mandalorian. Oh my God. Go listen to Millennial Movie Talk to hear my friends and I's thoughts on all of that when that comes out, because hot diggity shit. I'm so excited.
And with Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau attached, hopefully we're in good hands. If there's any person that I trust with a Star Wars story or the Star Wars universe, it's those guys. Yeah. I mean, Jon Favreau helped make Marvel what it is today. So hopefully he can do the same for Star Wars.
A huge key player. So, oh man. It's a big one. And this was a big one. This was a huge nostalgia.
Yeah.
And I loved every second of it because it meant that we just get to talk about Star Wars.
Damn right.
And I think I just need that on like a mental health level.
Exactly right. Especially when you and I don't work with one another.
Yes, not anymore. Oh my God.
We don't have time to... I mean, yes, we did work when we were at work.
I mean, yes, we did. we worked. It was a fact. Well, now we're just talking about work, and I don't want to talk about work. No. I want to talk about Star Wars, damn it. But yes, thank you so much for joining us for this very special episode of Nostalgia. Thank you again, Todd.
No worries. Thank you for having me again.
I mean, like the second I messaged you and I was like, hey, you want to talk about Star Wars?
It was like instantaneous response.
Yeah.
I was on my lunch break and I was like, yep.
No matter what, we have to make this work.
Say Star Wars, I will be there.
Yeah, that breaks down to that. Make sure to keep an eye out for any other nostalgias that might be coming out, any of the live streams that we might be doing on Hack the Dino and everything like that. All of the main episodes that go out every fortnight, and like we do stacks of stuff now. It really confuses me how we're doing so much.
Struggling to keep up with it,
honestly. And then on the other project that I work on as well, where we're going to be talking about Star Wars. Well, with obviously a big month of Star Wars media coming out. Millennial Movie Talk, podcast that I do with three of my other friends. We're going to be talking about heaps of Star Wars, so be worth checking them out as well. We've been doing stacks of stuff on there. Like, I honestly don't know where I even found the time to do it. So I'm really confused. But yeah, with that, may the Force be with you.